Well, all right. Welcome to this episode of Warrior Week Parables from the Pit podcast. This is a special edition for two reasons. One, I have my brother and my friend Matthew Lee here. And two, this is the first time that we're actually going live on Facebook at the same time that we are recording this episode. I felt the necessity of having this conversation being an immediate conversation, considering everything that's taken place right now in the world, and as well as ultimately having this inside of the Warrior Week podcast, which you can find at warriorweeknow.com. You'll find a series of podcasts and as well as videos and conversations very similar to this one in there, if that's something that interests you and you want to pursue. So, Matthew, hey, man, welcome to our conversation this morning. You are a graduate of the Be the Man event, and you've been with us inside of the game for over 2 years, 3 years now. How long has it been?
It'll be coming up on 2 years. I came to the Warrior Wealth in June of 2018.
June 2018. Okay, so, man, what brought you to Warrior? What kind of brought you to this conversation right here, right now, right? Because it was something that called you inside of a message that Garrett was broadcasting that had you consider coming in here and even today to be inside of this game, being a voice of the movement. So talk to me about that first experience, man.
So I think that I saw Garrett in 2013. I connected with him. I saw some stuff that he was doing with other guys. I rejected it. So I heard the knock at that time. I rejected it. But whatever I saw reflected back at me, I couldn't see myself in that picture. And essentially, I was struggling in denial. And in 2015, that's when I kind of called like my second rock bottom moment. But ultimately, it was that moment that finally like put me in enough pain to just say, this is not working and I don't have the answers. So I began that journey in 2015 from, personal therapy, couples therapy and counseling, like literally just saying like all the stuff I built myself up on knowing. Like I just was like, I don't know. Like basically everything that I told myself, who I believed myself to be, based on, the success I had in business and real estate that completely crashed and crumbled beneath me, I was able to, at that moment to say it didn't work and able to finally like let that ship fall to the bottom of the sea.
Beautiful. And so you came in to one of our first event, Warrior Wealth. What happened to you in that event?
Well, I basically got on a plane, and when I was actually flying to California, I remember looking out of the window, and I basically looked down and seemed like it must have been the Grand Canyon from Chicago to California, and I said, that man that left Chicago is dead. Like, I'm coming to this event, and I don't care what discomfort. From the time that I went to the registration table and everybody's like kind of got this upbeat tension, I'm like, I've been here before. Like, this is me. From the basketball camps that I've went to, the basketball tournaments I've played in, to the, being in a fraternity in college, playing D1 basketball. I'm like, this is the environment. Like, this is what turns, weak men. It helps them like lose all the shell, all the bullshit. And I got in that room and I said, whenever I get the opportunity to speak and Garrett offers the opportunity, I'm getting up. Like, I don't care if I know what to say, whatever comes out is going to be it. And I remember one of the things that stood out to me the most that I really like made a huge impact was you guys had a no phone policy. And somebody had looked at their phone during the event. You asked the guy to stand up and bring you his phone. And you took that phone and you smashed it. And to me, that was my validation that you guys are really about doing what you say you're going to do. And you weren't going to let somebody compromise their own standards in the face of what you guys have going on for all the other men that are in the room. To me, that's the type of conviction and certainty that I need to see in people that I plan on being led by, because I know that's the type of certainty and conviction that I have in myself when I'm playing the top of my game.
Beautiful. Yeah, I remember that moment, and it wasn't a moment of being a tough guy. It wasn't a moment of defining that, hey, this is my event and you're gonna. It was a moment of taking a standard, taking a moment of courage that most people will not do. Fear of getting sued, fear of being rejected, fear of not having loyal customers, you name it. It was, hey, there's no phone. Out of respect for 500 other guys that were on time sitting here, there is no phone. That's the end of it. And if you don't want to be here, well, don't be here. It's as simple as that. That's a conversation that powerful men can hear. So one of the misperception about warriors, that warriors are, weak men go to warrior to become strong. No, that's not it. Powerful men come to warrior to recognize the weak game they have been playing for a while.
Exactly.
And that's exactly your experience. You were a powerful man coming into warrior, already part of fraternity, already having this brotherhood, already having this basketball game, and as an athlete, as an association, you come with all that package because you recognize that the game you've played for a while has been weak. So it's not the man that is weak, but the game that was played by the man was a cheap game. You played the cheap games, man. And every single man that has stepped inside of warrior, including myself, finds that there's a better game for them to play, and they have the power to play. They are qualified to play the higher games. Which brings us on a topic of what you and I are going to have a conversation about, is looking at the world right now and looking at what's going on and looking at how COVID-19 set up the game for all of us. Like literally, COVID-19 has set up the game for all of us. Number one, there is not one single fucking person sitting right here, right now, that wouldn't agree with the following statement. We look back at what happened with COVID-19, and one of the things that we recognize is that we actually given power in the hands of fucking bunch of idiots. We've given power in the hands of people that we did not know. Now, that may be politicians. That may be organizations around health standard. That may be financial organization. That may be spiritual and religious organization. That may be any kind of organization. Unfortunately, we handed the power of decisions to leaders that are not qualified to be leaders. And this is on us because we did not know who we handed the power to. But out of delegation, we did that. Or we were born in the system that taught us that we have to do that. It's either or the tyranny of systems and cultures such as myself, where I was born in, which I had no fucking choice but to surrender to the fucking dictatorship. And that was the only path. So this power that we handed to the person that we don't know is very simple. Take an example of a politician, elected city members, or whoever you want to call them. We don't know who they are as a husband. We don't know how they operate with their children. We don't know anything about these people other than a profile of a very knowledgeable man when it comes to political portfolios. But we do not know the personal life. And that is a problem, because decisions that are made for a majority of us right now, from top to bottom, is made by personal decisions right now. COVID-19 has created a lot of emotion. The same emotion you and I feel, they feel. When emotions are high, intelligence is very fucking low. We all agree with that. I didn't invent this concept, but it just exists. Your emotions are high, your intelligence is going to be low. And now we got a very highly emotional guy, or a committee of people that have the same feeling like us, deciding on what we have to do. And we look back and we'll say, what the heck that we've done worldwide? We have put human momentum on pause because of fear of the unknown, because of lack of faith to take a leap. We've decided to walk back and pause. Now, I'm going to have you consider that deep down inside. Today, I'm sitting here and I have a huge appreciation for this pause. Because this pause personally for me, and I'm going to go to here in a second, this pause for me has actually caused time to reflect into the mirror and look at who I am today and what I'm becoming. Because my anger, my blame, my guilt, my shame, it is driving who I'm becoming. And deep down inside of me, I don't want to be driven by anger. I don't want to be driven by guilt. I don't want to be driven by blame. I don't want to be driven by shame. Like literally, I want love. I want compassionate love. I want unconditional love. But the definition of unconditional love right now, it is unknown to me at this period of time. I have an idea about it, but I cannot feel that right now. I cannot sit here and say, I unconditionally love my brother, or I unconditionally love another human. I can't take that stand as of now yet. I want that, but first I got to understand what the fuck that is. But if I don't have the courage to strip myself apart and become completely naked, then I'll never find that. Because I'll be afraid of what I'm going to say as a comment. I'm going to may lose my job. I'm going to do that. They're going to get rid of me. They're going to control. It comes back exactly to what you witnessed, which is you have a cell phone in this conference room. It's not going to happen. Bring the fucking phone. I'm going to smash it. Which I take a stand. It's a controversial stand. I get it. Phone companies may not be happy with it. The data that person had on their phone might have been lost. There was a risk that I took. I didn't take it to create a show. It wasn't a show. I wasn't becoming famous or significant by doing that. I didn't get money from it. I did it because I took a stand. And so the pause right now on life and humanity has caused me to look at myself in front of a mirror and investigate further what I see. Because I worked on myself, man, for past 7 fucking years. I really worked myself. And this period is causing me to go even deeper. I may have an idea of who I am, but this is a venture that doesn't stop. This is a journey that doesn't stop. If I stop seeking deeper and deeper and deeper, this is the day that I'm fucked. Because I've accepted to an ideology of now, and what I want is to become. So I do appreciate, with all the pain that this has caused everywhere in the world, there's a sense of appreciation. And my hope is that we can all reflect. My hope that there's a protest that could take place in the man of the mirror. That you protest against that guy. You wage war against yourself. How you were taught to think, how you were taught to operate, what you were born into, what kind of system you were born into, and what that system have made of you, and what stories and assumptions and justification. My heart breaks for injustice in the world, man. My heart breaks for injustice. There's not one day that I don't want to go out there and fucking fight for injustice. There is a revolution inside of me that is demanding fucking evolution. And I can't do it alone, man. I cannot do it alone. And at the same time, I appreciate the structure, the government, the system. Everything was created to the law, the order to have us operate. And there's the corruption that has taken place worldwide. It is boiling inside of me. And I cannot put everyone in the same fucking basket. But I cannot stay silent and say there's no corruption. There is a corruption in each man. I'm corrupted. You are corrupted. You're listening to this conversation. You are corrupted, my brother. The story that tells you you're not, that is the story that you have to investigate. This is where you have to let go of the significance of who you've become. There's a significance that comes with the man that you are today. And if you're willing to let go of that significance attached to your character, you can find your flaws. We were never meant to be fucking perfect. We were meant to sin. So if you say there, well, yeah, listen, man, I've been a very good guy. I've been helping others. I have no problem with anybody. Like, what else? What else you're not seeing? And I understand you may not resonate with that because this may be the first time you're hearing this conversation inside of this podcast or even this like, whoa, man, I don't get this, man. Yeah, you may be level 1. And level 1, stop fucking lying. Why don't you stop fucking lying? Stop lying to yourself about what you feel and what you must tolerate and what you have to be compliant with. There's a list of items you're currently compliant. There's a list of items you are tolerating. And that tolerance by definition is a lie. What you tolerate is a lie that you're telling yourself because you clearly don't want that. So there's an inventory to do on what you're lying about to yourself and how you're treating yourself as a secondary citizen. Because that's the exercise that we all need to do before demanding change on the outside. Before you start asking any change of anybody else, you got to at least take an inventory of where the fuck you stand today and let go of all the significance that you've created for yourself by associating yourself to a group of colored people, by associating yourself to a group of religious people, by associating yourself with a group of mind-like people, by associating yourself to a group of political people. Disassociate from all these groups. Don't allow the influence of these groups conduct your patterns and the behavior. Disassociate for a moment and ask yourself a question. What am I tolerating? What am I tolerating? And why do I have to be part of any of these groups to feel significant? We don't ask these questions to ourselves. We are very quick at not thinking about these associations that we have created for ourselves or has been created for us for a generation. Some were not even aware. It's like, you know, you go get a scan on your body and you figure out some shit is wrong with your organs. But you don't actually get inside of your blood and figure out what the fuck is inside of the blood that is running all the time. This is an analysis on a deeper level. And if we don't take that step, each of us, and if we don't teach our children to be vulnerable enough to look at themselves first, then we are going to have much bigger problems than fucking COVID. Much bigger problem than fucking looting. Matthew, what is your perspective on this? What are you hearing from this, brother?
My perspective is, in life, we have those knocks at the door, those times when we fall down. We have an opportunity when we fall down. That knock, that defeat, that failure is simply an opportunity. Now, we've been taught to look for blessings, like something that's handed down out of the sky and put in our hands, like just simple and easy, give it to me. And part of that is because we have parents who love us. They've been indoctrinated with a set of beliefs. And what do? What is a belief? A belief is something that we accept as true. Doesn't mean it's real, just something that we accept as true. If we believe the world is fat, that's what we will treat all of our perceptions based off of that thing we are being taught. So I learned through this program to trust my gut. When I feel something, that's a trigger. That's a sign. That's a knock at the door. I need to go and discover a knock. That is a collision. That is a sound that someone wants to gain entry. Something wants to gain entry from that knock. You've got that. So first you got to seek. You got to be open. Seek. You know, you want to discover. Take that knock. And then you got to do the reflection. You got to be quiet. You got to sit down. You got to listen. The problem, I think, is we have this voice in our head that goes, I already know that. I already know that. So you're taking what you believe, again, what you have accepted as true as your significance. And you've used that to ignore and silence the knock at the door, which is there for a reason. See, the stuff that happened in my business that made my business implode, it didn't happen to me. It happened for me. I had to have all of that pain unleashed on me to be open and ready. And without that pain, like the pain we're experiencing right now in COVID, without this pain that we see being done in the streets, we're just coasting. We're going through life, going around, in many cases, we're going around in circles, or we're settling for improvements rather than a complete transformation into a new person. Because if we believe we are who we are, if who we are is who we believe we are, we can change those beliefs and take actions that are consistent with the new belief. And when you take the actions with the new belief, love, what has to happen in order for someone to feel loved? Are you doing that? Yes or no? Oh, I actually have to listen. I got to shut up to actually let somebody feel heard. Those are the type of questions you got to ask yourself. And then accept the feedback. Go to the person that you love the most and say, I just want some feedback. Do you feel that I listen? And just shut up and sit there with a pen and paper and write out. What are the facts? The facts are whatever they're telling you. Whatever they are telling you is true for them. You might not recognize it, but it's true for them. And if you're showing up in the world to that person that way, then you're going to show up that way in the world to your business partners, to your customers, to your children. So if your significant other is telling you, you don't listen, or you know what, I find myself telling you the same thing all the time. And guess what? I get so sick and tired of you not listening, I don't even tell you anymore. And then that suppression of those feelings eventually erupts. And then we get all into our feelings. Oh my God, this person's going crazy. Oh, we're blaming, we're pointing the finger because we did not accept the knock. We did not have the courage to be vulnerable enough, expose ourselves to the feeling and the knock that was there to tell us what to do, to give us new insight, to create new discovery.
Well said. And the genesis of any change comes down to daily decision and defining decision. Like a change in the way we perceive ourselves and the way we perceive others and the way we operate is not happening instantaneously. You don't lose fucking 60 pounds instantaneously. It's a process and it's a commitment. And it's a dedication and a devotion to that cause. Because if you truly don't feel or understand the why you must change, then you're just putting a bandage on the wound, which you're not even feeling the pain anymore. But if you feel pain, if you actually cry, then you have begun the process of investigation of the why this thing matters to you. You have to feel the pain. You have to have tactical empathy. To fight for a cause, you must have a tactical empathy, or else you're in compliance with others. You're doing it because others are doing it. You're doing it because it seems that it's fair that you could participate. You're doing it because it's logical to participate. You're doing it because it looks like, and it sounds like, and it may seem that it's the right thing to do, so I will do it. You're doing it because the people that you respect and love are doing it. But you don't felt the pain. You don't have tactical empathy. And you're not part of any change, because the desire for that change does not come from a place of pain. And that pain could be a pain of desire, the pain of wanting more. That is painful to see where we are right now. That is painful to see that we judge so quickly. That is painful to see that we cannot fucking think. And because we don't want to think, we go to judgment immediately. It is painful to see how we treat others and how others treat others. It is painful to see how we communicate with each other. It is painful to see how we disrespect the foundation of our freedom. It is painful to witness injustice and unfairness. Once you feel that pain, you have a cause. And that cause is supported by daily decisions and defining decision. A defining decision is a resolution. You don't make a lot of those. We don't make a lot of those. We make a few of those. And the rest of our life, we spend managing our defining decisions. The decisions that defines us. The problem with that is, for too many of us, including myself, for so many years, I have managed the defining decision that was put upon me by somebody else. I want you to consider that. That your defining decisions might have never been yours. Might have been somebody else that defined those and said, you just manage my defining decisions. And you have become slave to that mentality, to that decision that was made for you. and you've never given your chance an opportunity to investigate your own defining decisions, because your daily decisions have been the slave to that defining decisions created for you. The genesis of change begins by this resolution that you make today, if that may be. A resolution of wanting something different for a reason that feels painful. And the daily decisions that will support it. COVID-19 has set up the playground for each of us to have the opportunity to have a defining decision that will impact the rest of our lives and how we will manage those decisions. We are at the forefront of making a decision that was made different from all these years, a system that is different from what was created. A system based on humanity, not on separation. We are conditioned as human to separate ourselves from each other from the time we are born, depending where we are born, and the experiences that we are having, depending on the defining decision that was put upon us. And simply follow daily decisions within the frame of the defining decision created by somebody else, often an organization, a country, a race, a religion, and operate within those framework and not ask question outside of it. The minute you ask a question outside of it, you're crucified. You're a traitor. We have gone to war against each other for years because of defining decisions that are colliding. Defining decisions that are not individual, but collective to control daily decisions of many. COVID-19 has put all this bullshit on pause and is giving me a chance. It is giving Matthew a chance. It is giving you a chance to have a possibility to define a decision that is yours. A decision that is yours. To refine and define your DNA, to filter your fucking blood from hate that you've carried for ideologies and information that was put in your mind to believe stories that are false. Believe ultimate fucking horrible stories that are false, that are leading to issues that we are having today labeled as racism. My friend, the problem is not racism. The problem is the separation. The separation that we were all taught. We were taught to separate ourselves. And in that separation, what actually enabled the actually drawing of the line is an immediate judgment upon a person, upon a person's religion, upon a person's color, upon a person's background, the way he speaks, his accent, the way he eats, the way he sheds, the way he sleeps, you name it, you're able to separate by judgment very quickly. And then associate yourself with those that agree with your separation because of the common judgment. So these circles and these groups and whoever, it's a mechanism. It's a mechanism like biology, like microscopic microbes that fucking help each other and stick with each other. It's like fucking enzymes that work with each other. It's like probiotics in your fucking stomach that comes together and kills the bad bacteria and good bacteria. We've created a system that we actually believe that is doing good. Yet the foundation of the fucking system says that we're separated. And it's difficult for us to deny this because we look at ourselves and, hey, I don't steal, I don't kill, I like my neighbor, I help people. Man, I'm doing everything I can. I believe in God. I do everything that I can. But yet I'm blind to the pain of humanity. The pain of humanity is not the hungry children in Ethiopia or in Africa or in other countries. That's portion of it. The pain of humanity sits next to your heart, next to your wife's heart, your children's heart, your neighbor. But nobody wants to have this open conversation. The minute you have this open conversation, the minute you share how you feel, the minute you admit to the guilt of separating, you're cut off from the same association that actually taught you how to separate yourself. We have an opportunity. We have an opportunity to de-link ourselves. Not by going against our government, not by defining the structure and the law and the system that took blood and years of intelligence to be built. But by having a revolution against defining decision that was put upon us. Maybe that defining decision came from your father. Maybe it came from your grandfather. Maybe it came from a group of people that you were exposed to as you're growing up with, depending on the neighborhoods that you lived in. Maybe you were part of a war, a civil war, or you grew up in war just like myself. I grew up in fucking war. So from the ages of whatever, I was born all the way till 10. Like, defining decisions was fucking put in my head. To hate everyone that is not helping us in this war. To hate every person of color, country, and religion that is not helping me in my pain, which is seeing children fucking die at the age of 9 and seeing chemical bombs being dropped and the world being denightful to it. And for fucking 30, 40 years, keep this pain inside of me that how come nobody heard our cry? How the fuck do I purge that? How do I purge that? This feeling of desiring of this injustice and this unfairness, it's in my fucking blood, man. It's in my blood. I can't fucking purge it. It's not a mental attitude. It's not a fucking, I read this and I read that and I become, it's not by going to Tony Robbins that this is going to fucking change. And this is true. Same thing. Today I realize it's true for a white person and for a black person. That's why you can't understand each other. Because you didn't witness the same unfairness. And for years, it's been inside of you. This is not a victim mentality. It's a pain that is not healed, motherfucker. It's a pain that is not healed. And the only person that can heal it is myself. And the environment that I have to heal that is COVID-19. Because it's giving me a chance to heal. It's giving Matthew a chance to heal. The healing begins first by us. Then we can worry about healing others. When you pour from an empty cup, it's fucking lies. When your cup is empty, you can't pour in anybody's fucking cup. So everything that you say, everything that you do, how you encourage, it's not out of love for them. It's out of love for yourself because you're in fucking pain. And your cup is fucking empty. Fill it up so you can fill other people's fucking cup. But if you have hate halfway in your cup and you don't want to acknowledge it, well, guess what? Your cup will always be halfway full. And what you're pouring is always half of what you could pour, but the other half is contaminated with fucking lies and hate. And that's on you and I for not figuring out what's the problem with this other half. Why would I not empty this other half? It's years of systematic separation that has created that half a cup of fucking hate. And COVID-19 is saying, bro, you have an opportunity to take the cup and empty it. But you like to resist. You want to hold on to this motherfucking cup. You're too much in love with your cup. Defining decision today is to take the cup and pour it. Pour your feeling out without any consequence. Admit that you're a fucking racist. Admit that you have been separating yourself from other people. Admit that you are a definition of what the problem is in this world today. Whether you're white, black, Chinese, Persian, whatever, it doesn't matter. Admit that you and I, all of us are part of the fucking problem. And the problem is this separation. Separation. And the one thing that was supposed to bring all of us together has become the conductor of this separation till this day. And that is the ideology of religions and people that have taken those fucking religions and have made it exclusive for them. That is wrong. It's not your religion. Nothing is yours. There is one voice, and that is God. The end. It doesn't know if you're Jewish. It doesn't know if you're Christian. It doesn't know if you're Muslim at all. You have to receive this voice inside of you. The more you put man-made fucking rules around it, so the way you're supposed to fucking receive this voice, the way you're supposed to act upon this, the more you will create separation and hate. And it's time to stop that. It is time to take a stand and unify. Above and beyond the color of your body, above and beyond the ideology of religion, and just listen. Be in this place of stillness. Consider somebody else as equal to you. Because if you don't, then everything you stand for is a lie. If you are not connected to me, if I'm not connected to you, and if we are not connected, and if we allow hate to separate us, unfortunately, the sad news is we are not truly connected to God. You may argue this. You may prove 100 scriptures and 100 definitions of that this is bullshit, but ultimately, if we are not connected to each other, the statement of I am that I am cannot be true if I don't believe that is true for my enemy. I am that I am. That statement is powerful. Has nothing to do with religion. It has to do everything with what you believe in. If you believe that you are that, then you must believe that your enemy is also that. And that's an unarguable question that none of your justification, none of your assumptions can overcome it. And so today, how the fuck do I love my enemy? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But I can begin the search and the seek and the guidance on this. If I don't do this today, then for years to come, I will continue to teach separation. I will continue to install hate into my children and generations to come. And that's on me. Matthew, what are you hearing from this, my brother?
It's deep. It's deep. Well, one thing I think is you're reflecting and you're looking back, because when we look back, it gives us the opportunity to look at hindsight. What we know is true from our experiences. And then you're questioning that. Did it work? Did it not work? On top of that, you got clear on your outcome. I want love. I want to experience the same thing that I asked from God. I want to experience that myself. The best way for me to know that feeling is not only by experiencing it, but giving it to others. So you're giving what you want to get in return. The next thing is admitting personally that you don't know. Like, I thought I knew how to love, but if I can't love my enemy, then I guess I don't really have love, because the love I want from the Creator is unconditional. So I'm holding conditions over people and saying, if you don't do this, if you don't show your love and devotion this way, then I don't agree with you. Versus unconditionally, hey, I love you unconditionally. Just like my Creator loves me. And I must practice that in the face of adversity. Now, what is adversity? Adversity is a test. So you have an opportunity right now to look across at the people that you've been taught to say, there is me, there is we, like my group, and there's them. So I've been taught to look across at them and just pick apart everything that they're doing wrong. That's a test. If I learn to love, I pass the test, I gain a lesson. That becomes knowledge that you take on because you evolve. You're going up levels like a video game. You start at level 1, you pass that level, you gain new knowledge, new skills, new beliefs, and you move to level 2. But if you don't pass level 1, you don't pass the test, you fail. So where do you start over again? At the starting line. And when we look back at the 400 years in this country, for most of the people that weren't already here, we've had a series of tests, and we failed so many. Now we've passed some, there has been some movement. There's been some massive sacrifices by different people to make that happen, to make that change come about. And there's been some people that had to come to the admission that maybe I don't know. Maybe I truly don't understand. So you've opened up the possibility. You've heard this knock at the door and you open it up. And in order to open it up, you got to let go of what you already have in your hand. To receive the new package, the new belief, the new idea, you got to let go of what you've been holding on to so strong and saying, this is it. This is the only way. All right, well, maybe, let me see. And the point is, just like we play a video game, it doesn't cost you anything to just try it on. It's like going to the store. You got one set of shoes that you're coming to the store with, right? You can go say, hey, I want to try on these shoes. All that is saying, look, I'm going to try on a new perspective today. That new perspective is somebody else. How are you going to do that? You're going to go ask a question. You know what? I don't know how it feels to be a Persian American who came through Canada. I would like to know more about that experience for you, and just shut up. And by doing that, if you truly open yourself up, you're not just opening yourself up to hear, but also see and then feel, right? But not just feel like the touch, but feel in your heart, because that's your most powerful tool. And when you feel their pain, you realize, I don't know exactly his pain. I didn't have to walk through a field of landmines. I didn't have to be a soldier of God as a child and be taught to believe that I need to, put myself at risk of losing my life to go to heaven to serve my country. I don't know what that feels like, but I do know pain. Whether it's the pain of my father leaving at 7 years old and putting me in a situation where I was stuck to survive on my own and figure things out and be the man of the household. I had to disconnect from being the friendly, loving brother to being, now I'm in charge. I have to provide this example. I had to carry this weight. It affected every decision I made. I couldn't be a child and enjoy the children things. So that was my set of shoes. If I get to have a conversation with Sam, I get to know his set of shoes. Okay, it might not be the set of shoes that I choose, but I can still go try another view and perspective. And ultimately, what I'm going to decide is, okay, if I'm designing a new set of shoes, what are the 5 key features that I want to see in that shoe? I want to feel free. I want to feel loved. I want there to be justice for everybody, no matter what the color, no matter if they're tall or short, if they're fat or skinny, if it's a man or woman, whatever their sex is or whatever their sexual preference is, I want there to be justice. I want there to be liberty. I want people to see the possibility, no matter where they got up this morning, no matter if there was power on, light on, water on, I want them to realize that there's possibility in them, not in the system, but inside of them, to see something in themselves that will create action. And that action will manifest into results. I want those things. And I think that if I sit across from Sam, I don't even have to know Sam intimately. But I think if I said, Sam, would you like those things? Would that be a nice shoe for you to put on? What do you think, Sam?
Yeah, hell yeah. I'll wear that
Would
shoe.
you join me in going out and making and like doing the work to become the people? First of all, before we ask anybody else, like, why don't you have, this idea? Why aren't you helping others be free? I got to first learn how to be free myself. I must free myself from my belief systems that have been holding me back and that have caused me to harm other people. My belief system that, I already know this. So if I know this, why am I going to listen to you? I already know what the real problem is. You don't want to work hard. So guess what? Yeah, we grew up in the same house, under the same roof. We had the same exact opportunity. That's how I felt. But when I finally listened, I realized that I wasn't with you 24 hours a day, brother. Sister, I wasn't with you. And oh my God, it scared me, it horrified me that there were some things that happened to them when on my watch as the older brother who was a father figure, and I couldn't imagine that I didn't see it. that I didn't help them and protect them. That horrifying feeling, it scared me. I didn't want to open that door. Oh, I'm scared of that. But in the end of the day, when you accept that there is a whole nother story behind that door, and you say, look, I just have to try it on. For me to connect to them, I don't have to absolutely know exactly what that feeling was like, but I need to know that they feel heard, they feel validated in their feelings, because that is what's true for them. And that at the end of the day, I love you no matter what, always. We may not even agree on what the best path is to move forward, but I want the best for you.
It is unfortunate to stand there as witnesses and see the idols that we have created for ourselves in the past that COVID-19 has exposed. All the celebrities that we've created for ourselves, all these characters that we attach significance into, they are nowhere to be found, because just like you and I, they have pain, but they have been taught to hide their pain, because the minute they talk about their pain, now they're vulnerable to be taken advantage of, which is also another situation that is true. There are people that are going to manipulate your truth. They're going to manipulate your vulnerability for their own profit. There are organizations that will do that. But you don't have to be scared. What do you got to lose? At the end, it's not them. It's the fear. The fear of sharing your pain, because somewhere along the way when you were a kid, you probably shared some feelings and it slapped you around, and you quickly figured out that it's not really safe to share my feelings. So fuck that, I'm not going to talk about my feelings anymore. And you continue to operate the same way here as an adult. How do you feel? And that feeling is just the beginning. Like Matthew said, it's the beginning of the knock. The feeling is going to create a bunch of stories around people that you want to separate from. Those people think like that. Those people are stupid. Those people are like, what? That's the immediate reaction to the feelings. But the investigation continues further, to the point where you ask yourself one question: how do I love these same people that I'm judging? Listen, man, I'm not trying to have it, this is not your Sunday preaching moment. I'm just saying it's a fundamental fucking issue. Matthew.
So you brought up an amazing point, judgment. So as I stood at the Be the Man event, you had me do an exercise, and I realized my judgment that I put on other people was the same judgment that I put on myself. So when I took back the judgment of other people, I took back judging myself. So I gave myself permission. Look, all the things that were supposed to be so bad and happen wrong, that was a learning experience. That was an MBA. That was a PhD. I'm actually way more qualified than I ever was 20 years ago when I started in business to help somebody. And why would I throw that away and feel ashamed of sharing that with people? Because if anything, you don't want to hear the guy who says, well, I've never had a mistake, because now he doesn't know where all the pitfalls lie. You want to talk, or if he says he never had a mistake, what do we probably know? He's either one, lying, meaning he's not telling you the whole truth. He's just telling you about the good deals, and he's not telling the truth. But there's two different lies: the lies of omission, the ones we don't tell. We don't tell ourselves. We tell ourselves what we want to hear, what sounds good, what feels good. We tell other people what sounds good, what feels good. And then on the other side, then we just straight out lie, because we want to project out certain images. We don't want to be judged. Guess what? When I stop judging other people and someone tells me, man, I'm going through shit, I say, look, thank you for sharing, because I understand the courage and the vulnerability that takes, especially if you're talking to a total stranger. I want to appreciate them. Like, I'm a total stranger. I have no connection to you, but I just want to tell you that I know how much courage it took to share that. But by getting it out, you're now making room for something else that's bigger. It's like, why would I want to go around holding this shame and guilt? If I get it out, I just emptied the cup to open it up for all these new great feelings that I can begin taking actions to create.
And unfortunately, again, it's sad to witness so many men straightforward, not giving flying fuck about what you and I just talked about in the past 45 minutes. Like literally, fuck this. Who the fuck are these guys? What do these guys know? What is the credibility? Whatever story that comes as a resistance to what they're hearing. If there is resistance, is because you're judging. You may tell me, fuck you, and close this live and never listen to this, delete my profile or his profile, or never or guys like us, or people that, carry this kind of conversation. But the truth, scientifically, has proven itself. Scientifically, this is the science of spirituality. It has nothing to do with the three major religions. It's the merger of all religions and science to scientifically prove where there is resistance. You can do the research yourself. I don't have time to actually prove the formula with mathematics. It's like literally the basic language of God, mathematics. There's a formula for that. There's a formula for I am that I am. There's a formula in Hebrew that it's like you can get into that and you can investigate. Good luck on that. But you'll find where there is resistance, there is judgment. There's a mathematical formula that will prove that to you. In your biology, in my biology, in our physiology, in physics, in chemistry, in the way every single molecule and atoms interacts with each other. And collision, it's how we unify ourselves. That's what atoms and molecules do at that level. They collide constantly. Billions of collisions taking place as we speak right now. And if we don't collide, then we'll never fuse. Then we'll always be separated. Always. The collision is not for destruction. The collision is for unification. But if you hide and you don't share your pain because of fear of being manipulated, and if you hide and you don't share how you feel and how you think and what you want because you fear that you may lose significance, you may fear that you may lose your status in society as as your popularity, celebrity, or whatever that is, status that you've created for yourself because you have more money, so therefore you're separating yourself from those that don't have money, thinking that everybody wants your money. That's not true. Ain't nobody wants your fucking money. But that's the story that you're telling yourself. And there are people that will go and try to manipulate that. But you have just generalized everybody in wanting your money because your ass is rich. Now, that's just one example. There are so many examples of separation. So before we get to this like racism thing, right? Because this is a perspective from Matthew. It's like, that's on the micro level. On the macro level is the separation. This is the actual fucking problem. The reflection of the macro level problem, the separation, is the projection that you see on racism and racism issues and systems that are systematically supporting that based on the fundamental fucking separation and system that were fed by defining decisions that wanted to separate. It is time to reflect. And the reflection happens within, and the change happens within, and the conversation is a conversation that takes home between you and your children first. What you can teach them. You're their first teacher. Your first teaching moment happens in your house. So before you go in the streets and before you start taking a stand for anybody else change, reflect, just like I'm doing right now. It's not easy. I can tell you that. Like I'm in war with myself and the way I think. And this is after 7 fucking years of constantly going to war with myself. Those that know me, those that know Wake Up Warrior, understand what we talk about here. It's like there's never a day that's comfortable here. Not a goddamn day that we feel comfortable. Because every day we lie. And every day we go to war with those lies that build stories and come out of that day differently. There are tools that we use here. Tools that questions our issues. Tools that will question the problems. Tools that will allow us to investigate the source of the lies. These tools are available for us daily to make daily decisions This is not a pitch for fucking Warrior. This is the absolute fucking truth. Those that are hearing this understand what they are. This tool is called the Stack. It's a series of questions that allows me to think before I judge. That's all it is, my brothers. Think before I judge that day. And I go back to sleep and come back up with a list of fucking judgment caused by all the fucking trigger that happened in my world, in your world that day. This is a daily decision, but there are defining decisions along the way. And I feel personally, I'm in a period of where I'm going to defining decision. That defining decision is going to shower upon me and my children first before I open my fucking mouth and demand it for anybody else. I'm going to work on me. I'm going to make a defining decision for me. And then I'm going to teach that defining decision like a motherfucker to my children. That's my first level of teaching. And then I'm going to open my mouth and teach it to those that I'm leading right now. And those that are following this movement. And those that are thinking about questioning everything. Or you could be the fucking guy that has his head in his fucking ass or in the sand. And you just believe a defining decision that was put upon you. Matthew, where's your struggle? Where's your fight today, my friend?
So after this George Floyd incident happened, I've seen this happen so many times, and it's just like you get numb to it. Like, am I gonna watch this video, and is this gonna is there ever gonna be change on a systematic level? When you ask that question, and you ask most people based on the past incidents, Freddie Gray, you can go Laquan McDonald. I mean, there's so many incidents that occurred, and it's like I either can try to go attack the system, or I can attack the man inside of me and say, all right, how am I going to put myself into a position to create actual change? And sometimes you don't have an answer for that question. So in that period, you sit silent. And then the real question is not, again, what do I think, but what am I going to do? And I sat silent for many of those incidents in terms of what I did. Not what I said, but what I did. And so when I seen this incident occur, I had one moment where I watched the video. It's described the 381 days that happened in Alabama that created a bus strike, and they transformed the civil rights movement through that 381-day commitment. And the point of that video was, are you committed? Or are you just convenient committed? So the person who's convenient committed, they'll post for a weekend. They might post for a couple weeks, but they're actually not changing their actions, which is ultimately what changes someone at their core. It's the actions. You can think you're doing the right thing with your diet. You can think you're doing the right thing in your exercise. But ultimately, the facts of the actions that you take will create the fruit of the result and the outcome. And I had to ask myself, what does commitment look like for me? How does that show up for me on a day-to-day basis? And one of the things I realized is I can't sit quietly. I need people that know me to know this is what I stand for. Now, while you might not believe it, you might not believe the same way, I'd love to open the door to a conversation, because if I felt like I sat silent, how many others are sitting silent? Not again by what they say, because everybody will say, I support the end of racism. But my question is, what are you going to do? When you hear somebody say a racist joke, I don't care what race it is, but I've heard it. What am I going to do? Am I going to say, excuse me? What did you say? Explain that to me. I don't get that joke. Like, do I have the courage, the fortitude to say that? Or am I going to ignore it? It's that action that I take right there, just like the action of somebody who says, my phone is more important in this room full of 500 men who came here, that traveled here, paid money, paid admission, paid for hotel. My one person and my phone is more important than everybody else. And what we created was a stand. You created was a stand in that room to create a safe place for everybody to know what commitment looks like. And so how am I going to show up in my community to show them what commitment looks like? And will I give myself enough room to get it wrong? Guess what? I might not be right 100% of the time, but will I give myself room to get it wrong? I'll make a post. I'll make a call to action. I'll have people reach out to me. Maybe I have the right thing to say. Maybe I don't. But if I continue the conversation, if I continue to be open to listening to the feedback, I'll see what things created good fruit and what things didn't create good fruit. I'll be developing a formula of what is successful. What are the actions that work? What are the actions that don't work? What is the next course correction? I can use other people in my network and say, hey, I really love what you're putting out there. The information, tell me where I can get more. I would love to share that with more people. I can ask some of my, let's use in this example, my white friends and say, what is it that you don't understand? How can I help you better understand? And they might say, look, every time I hear somebody complain about this, they don't have any statistics to back it. So I can say, you know what? That makes me feel so terrible that you don't see this thing happening and you won't accept it as true until you know facts and statistics. So guess what though? If that's true for you, that's probably true for 1 million or 100 million other people. So what is it that I need to do to put something physical in a form, to take an action that can help them open up their heart to hear the pain and accept the pain and say, I feel terrible that for my whole adult life, I didn't believe this because my parents told me, no, that's not what's true. Just that transformation in that one person becomes a ripple effect. So if I empower that one person, if I'm empowered to take action, I transform that person's life. When they transform, they revitalize the community that they're a part of, their family, their church, their workplace, their school. They transform their children. Those children go out and do the same thing because we've learned to stand up to the ignorance, the ignorance, the silence. And we show up in action, in physical form, and we give people, we receive their feedback and we give them what they need to see. Because when people take a belief, here's how here's how we reinforce a belief. We reinforce it with evidence. So if you have a belief that racism is real, and that's the one thing that's holding you down, there's evidence out there to support that. On the other hand, there's also evidence out there to say that maybe that's not true. Maybe that's just what you accepted because there's somebody over here the same color as you, the same height as you, the same strength as you, the same education as you, same income, and they're doing a lot better. So are you willing to open up your hand and let go of your beliefs and maybe look at another way? And it's not to say that racism doesn't exist. I'm not going to say sit silent, turn a blind eye. It's saying there may be a better play to run. Like on the basketball court, for this team that we're playing against, we might have to run a different play to score this basket. This guy who's 6 feet tall, he probably shouldn't be running through the lane trying to post up. We need to get our 6'7" guy in there. But guess what? If it works, you keep doing it. If it doesn't work, like, is that belief serving you? How is this belief serving me? Versus, let me try on another belief. Because this guy over here is the same color as me, and he's killing it. Like, that's the one thing. When I got out of college, I see a guy driving a nice car. I'd be like, what do you do? Like, I'm letting go. Like, I know what I do, but I'm not driving that type of car. So I'm going to open up to what does this guy believe and what does he do? And consider that I want that type of fruit coming off of my tree. My tree doesn't have that type of fruit. What do I need to do different? Now, when I thought I was doing so good and, I had to prove to everybody that I was so successful, when somebody pulled up in a better car than me, a lot of times my mind would say, oh, he probably just, bought that and got a high car payment. He doesn't really have the money. He just bought it on credit. He's probably struggling to pay his car note. Because that's what fed my ego, that it's about my intelligence. In reality, what really matters are the facts. What are the actions that I would need to take to do the same thing for myself? It doesn't matter that person, if I don't know what they did, then I'm allowing my story to give me a story, a belief. So I'm accepting a belief as true based off of what I told myself. So I think for us to change, we got to analyze what are we telling ourselves about a particular challenge or problem? And then what do we feel about it? And go from there to get real, get raw, and say, what are the other views or perspectives? Is that the only way to look at this situation? How does somebody else look at it? Find someone you respect, that you trust, that you know their intentions are pure, and say, I trust you. I look at you. You've succeeded against this challenge. For me, that was my fraternity. It was a historically Black fraternity. Now we're open to all races, colors, but having that support of other Black men, most of the Black men that have had success, I knew there was a way to navigate the system in corporate America. I knew there was a way to have success. So as long as I could see that, I was like, you know what? there are some challenges in the system. I need to have better skills to overcome those challenges. So I'm going to be open to letting another brother say, this is what I did. This is what I had to learn to do when I get in these type of environments.
Beautiful, beautiful. I'm gonna wrap it up by literally like finalizing this to one couple of words, right? Here's what COVID-19 did. COVID-19 exposed to you the following: that your belief, if it's about reduction of racism, is not good enough. It's not enough. It must be about elimination of racism. If you want to talk about fucking racism, right? There's so many other macro level of problems. And we talked a lot about it. But like, if you want to talk about this problem, racism right now, like your belief that you're holding to at best that helps reduce racism, not good enough. Not good enough. That's another bandage. That's another tolerance game. That is another lie. If you're willing to let go of this system and adopt the one belief that eliminates separation, aka racism, then you can teach that to your children. That's it. There's 2 steps. Step number 1, let go of the reduction system. It's not about reducing. Reducing doesn't work. 400 fucking years we've worked on reducing this shit. They've seen some good and we've seen some bad. We don't just drag the bad, we drag the good too. There's been a lot of fucking progress. But motherfucker, the progress has always been about reduction. Fuck reduction. We have an opportunity to rewrite the scripture, at least for ourselves, and say, I'm going to eliminate. But in order to eliminate, you must investigate deep down in yourself. And the question that begins that investigation, and this is what I'm going to leave you with, literally I'm going to leave you with, I'm going to say this question, and I'm going to thank you for the time that you are here. I'm going to also thank you for the time you invested in listening to this. I'm going to thank Matthew on this. And if anything inside of this podcast has resonated with you, all I want you to do is to forward this to a man that you know that could benefit from these conversations. For the first time ever, after 100-something episodes, since this is a live one on Facebook, if you find it in your heart and you feel that you have the courage to actually share this truth on your page without being judged, then go ahead and do it. And if you do, know that just in this demand, the fact that you are not sharing it, you have been exposed, my friend. You have been exposed as a liar and as somebody that is fearing to be judged if you share this on your page. Now, I'm going to leave you with the question. The question you all need to ask yourself and investigate is the following. Am I a racist? Gentlemen, have yourself a fantastic day. Until next time, take care of yourself and each other.
All right.